Shout out to the God Turk, Supreme Clientele Radio. Diablo, SR the General, full blast the beat God. Graff Champs, yeah, Graff Champs, Graff Champs, yeah, Graff Champs. Shout out the 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 Graff Champs. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tune in to Graff Champs. We appreciate the love and support for all the Graff Camps. The most amazing and iconic artists out here smashing it from the train yards to the rooftops to the storefronts, highways catching wreck. SR the General, he be going crazy, bro, from his Instagram account, Supreme Clientele Radio. Interviewing all the icons, the ones that led the way. Salute to all the fallen legends, the ones that set the stage. Moment of silence, let us remember those. Peace. Whether they family or they were friend or foe. Hate them or love them, let's show them some respect. Major contribution in hip-hop, Graff Champs to the death. Ready and willing, never scared to fry. Never. Chancing the odds of getting up, prepared to rise. Super talented vandals, never scared to die. Let's show them love while they breathing. Go ahead and share the life, share the life. So tell a friend to go and tell a friend. Interviews are dope from the start up to the end. To the end. Let's show him love and call it glory time. Repost his post on your post, share his post up on your storyline. We Graff Champs. We out.
Live, we have live. Theme KED. Live in the building. We in the camera view, right? We in the camera view? Alright. Yo, there's a reason why I had to do this live, because this dude right here is not a regular average. He played a huge part in the whole NBK movement, DTF movement, FTR movement, MTA, and so on and so forth. Yo, Theme, thank you for coming through. It's been a long time coming. And like I said, I wanted to build up to this. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for coming. You're dear to my heart since day one. A1, knocking them dead. So we're going to start from the beginning. Look, come on, son. This is some real shit right here happening. From the beginning, Theme, how did you get into graffiti? What got you into graffiti?
Basically just the neighborhood, you know, playing sports and stuff like that, and kind of hooking up with Exile and Gumby and I, UF, grew up together, and they had their own little crew with the UF thing and everything, and kind of just chilling from time to time. Then they did us first wall in Greenpoint, and it was like, you know, all right, this is something that seems interesting. And, you know, back then we were young, you know, I test it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, start taking a few tags here and there. And it was like, yeah.
So what years was this? What years
like
was this?
90, 91.
90, 91, the golden years, bro. The golden years. So you said Exile, Gumby. Gumby is another big part of a lot of this that's happening right now.
In Greenpoint, you know,
so yeah, I wanted you to say where you rap. Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Yep.
Greenpoint, baby. All right, so 90, 91, you're around these guys. They're already doing it.
You know, they weren't painting so much, like, as far as active, like, trains and stuff like that, but Gumby was more of a, you know, piecer and stuff like that, but, you know, he had like an influence in the neighborhood as far as, you know, keeping it, like, with us first. So then it was just, Exile was more, we wanted to go out painting. So it was like, all right, let's go. We wanted to climb up scaffolds, stuff like that. So with him, he was more of the influence in the sense of street bombing and just, you know, being more of the outgoing, where it was like, look up, you know, we're on a rooftop, let's get up there tonight and stuff like that. So I kind of found it was interesting in that sense.
So right in the beginning, when you see that, like, because that's a writer's eye, you know, we see some totally different shit. Everybody's looking at that, we're like, oh shit, look at that spot right there. Yeah. You had that from the beginning?
Nah, Exile had more of the eye for it, and it was like, you know, yo, come on, I'm up there, like, yeah, all right, fucking let's do it. And just from there on, it was more like an adrenaline rush. Then it was like, you know, the challenge of, you know, always having to be on, like, looking out and then just doing different spots like that to be more we had high spots that were just tagged where like people were just like, how do you even do it? Climbing up the scaffolds to take a tag. And it wasn't even, people more would recognize it back then. There was no social media, there was no, cameras like that. It was just, people would see in the street like, hey, that spot down in the village, second story. Like, yeah, oh, you hit the rooftop along the Pulaski Bridge. So I think back then, when they did the Us First piece over in Greenpoint, that was a big thing that kind of made a lot of noise to all the neighborhoods. It was like one of the biggest things done in the streets as far as the Blockbuster goes or whatever. And it was more for the crew itself.
Could you tell them what block it was on?
Yeah, it was on Leonard Street between Anger and Bayard. We're going junior high school 126.
So I want you to paint the picture for the followers like of Greenpoint in those days. How was Greenpoint? Was it like a lot of riders? Was it rough? Was it what?
Yeah, the neighborhood itself was definitely rough, just like it was in any other neighborhood. You know what I mean? You had your mixed crews as far as not graffiti, but yet neighborhoods from side to side, and it was like where on our side growing up, I grew up on like the Spanish side for the most part. And riders wise, most of the riders from the Greenpoint were all on our side. We had ID, UGG. He was from Greenpoint as well. So, but he was part of our crew from back then, from day one basically. And I know the whole underground graffiti thing and all that stuff. He was more of a loner in a sense, but yet he knew like where he kept his loyalty with us. You know what I'm saying?
So all right. So now it's the UF, Us First. Now I want to know where did KED come in, because this is where it starts getting crazy.
Right. So the KED thing, Ming, DRH was always like making up certain crews and stuff like that, and with the KED thing, he started the crew, and it was like, he was the prez or whatever. He had a couple of crews at the same time, and the whole Knock 'em Dead thing, my dad would always be like, when I would go play ball, he'd be like, yo, knock 'em dead. Almost like a show business with like, break a leg, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when Min was like, yo, the crew, whatever, and, I was vice president at the time or whatever, and he was more like, I think I'm just I don't really want the crew, whatever. And I was like, all right, fucking, I'm running it.
So Min made it up off the top.
He started it for the most part, but he had a bunch of different ones at the time, with NBK and ATL and all that stuff, DRH. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make my own, rap label, basically. Kind of just ran with it and just, stuck with it, and it was like me, Goober, Cat. Rest in peace, Goober, of course. Yesterday was his, would have been his birthday. So happy birthday up there, you know what I'm saying? So we started out just painting and stuff like that. The neighborhood, obviously, like everybody else, starts off in the neighborhood and then venture out here and there. Then I guess it was like 91, 92. Became cool in high school with Catch, Touche, those guys like that. Rusto back then. Fuck Crew, SCS, started going out, venturing out, you know what I mean? And then, I guess in the early part of the 90s, 90, 91, 92, in that frame, Obama with Stacks, we were always having these parties in Greenpoint and stuff like that. We met like Casio, Doom, Fogs, 501s, WOS, those guys, all those fellas like that would come through the neighborhood and just be chilling, drinking, would start going out painting, So I guess as far as influence-wise, bombing, Stacks was a big influence. He was always, he wanted to be like, yo, chill, and then like, come on, let's go paint. The Fuck Crew, Bye, LC, rest in peace. All the fellas over there, Gel, JB1, those guys. So, I think for me, with the KED thing, kind of just venturing out and meeting guys like you, Papo, AZ, those guys, I knew those guys from playing basketball. So it's kind of like little networks where got cool this way and then started chilling, you know what I mean? And then next thing you know, it was like little by little, it getting bigger and bigger. You know what I'm saying? So
that NBKEDTF been together, FTF, that's a fact. And I just want to say one thing. When I met Theme, the first time I met Theme, I'm gonna make this real short, real quick. I met Theme, I shook that nigga's hand, yo, what's up? This is Theme. Then all of a sudden, I'm about to get jumped by like 100 weightlifting dudes. And I was with dudes that didn't even jump in. And this man, my man's behind the scene right here, we all rumbled. From day one, Goober, rest in peace. ID, he was cracking niggas' heads open. Yes. Yo, man, my nigga Turk was there. Vocal, of course, salute to Vocal. We was rumbling with niggas. And I just met this dude 5 minutes before that. And ever since then, it's been eternal love, my nigga. NBK, KED United, and DTF was always there. And FTR was always there. And even MTA. Yeah, salute.
JC3, rest in peace, Mag. Rest in peace, Ass, A1s. All the fellas from over the FTR side, you know.
So, y'all want y'all to understand this. We used to have to go to meetings, and there used to be 100 motherfuckers there from crews. All right, remember? Yeah, tell me about those. Like,
with those, it was more where, you know, because again, no social media, no cell phones, nothing. You had beef with a dude, you rolled up on his block, you know, fight. You didn't want to bring it to the dude's house. Let's meet here at 8 o'clock. Or, you know, we're going to have this meeting and then we're going to shoot the fan or whatever. Everybody came, whatever. When the meetings came down, it was more, you know, all the crews, like the way, I guess, sort of a good example, like the way the Warriors, the movie was, where they had everybody had different little crews, you know what I'm saying? And they meet in this one spot. And it was like, all right, we're going to do it this way. So, I mean, as far as it went with that, it was more along the lines of like, you shot the fair one, you shook hands, and it was either, you know, you walked away or you became cool. And that's how, little by little, you know, crews got bigger and bigger. It was a thing like that. So
I always felt like it was amazing the way, like, when KED came into my picture, I'm just saying personally, and it was already like KED, like you said, fuck crew, and all of these fucking titans together. Like, what's the feeling, yo? Explain the feeling that we had when we was all deep together.
Well, you know what? I think it was just everybody had some sense of security. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody was gonna come there, nobody was gonna fuck with us. It was like, you know, we had shit locked down. You know what I mean? Like, dudes wouldn't come to the park. Like, when we came to, I would come to DeKalb. You know what I'm saying? It was like, back then in the 90s, dudes like me, you know, they'd be surprised, like, oh yeah, who's this white boy walking around over here? You know what I'm saying? And back then, you know, when you guys would come even to Greenpoint, you came to the park and we were all chilling, like, same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because of the way it was growing up, you know, it was like,
who these Spanish?
who these Puerto Ricans? You know what I'm saying? Or the same thing, like, who these white boys or whatever, you know? And the funny part about it was, obviously being, you know, my nationality, being Polish, Puerto Rican, Italian, whatever, I became cool with so many different people, and being able to go to Bed-Stuy in the 90s, Bushwick in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? It was whole different ballgame, you know what I'm saying? To where it is today, it's like you walk the streets and it's like,
anybody could go in.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's surprising, you know what I'm saying, the way the whole thing has changed to today.
So just for the followers that aren't from our era, anybody couldn't go to anybody's hood. That's it. Even if you knew somebody, because you could be in somebody's hood with the niggas from that hood, and niggas from that hood is gonna test you anyway. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be real. So if you was moving around freely through all the hoods, that means that you was holding weight. You know what I'm saying? So like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, even growing up, not so much being from the, you know, the train era and stuff like that, but seeing the train eras and then, you know, big influences, stuff like Chino Trim, you know what I mean, that started Street Bombers, you know, Easy, Jaws, those guys, you know, J.A., but Trains, Ghost, you know what I mean, Saint TMR, the whole TMR crew, they did, you know, Dual, NCI, those guys like that. You know, it definitely, you know, you see these crews, you know, and as far as for us, you know, meeting different people through graffiti or whether it was through sports, you know, became cool with a lot of people, you go painting with them, and it was like some dudes you became cool with and you chill with on a regular basis, you know what I mean? Some dudes you painted with once, you know what I mean? Or yeah, some dudes you ended up being cool with for a little bit and you ended up getting into beef with. It was just, you know, graffiti has a lot of politics, you know what I'm saying? So it's, I've been out of it for so long, you know, lifestyle changes and stuff like that, you know, keep your eye to the, your eyes and ears open and stuff like that. Always in the street or whatever, just, for whatever purposes. For me, it was just an adrenaline rush. I never was, this, considered myself to be some, train bomber, piecer or nothing like that. It was, you did it for fun. It was street bombers. That was it. It was just vandals back then. And I look at it now and it's like, it's become such a everyday thing where you see dudes that put in the work back then, now at least they make the money off of it. You know what I mean? So I think for the way it's become more of a profit for people that they can make money off their work.
Did you ever think it would be like that?
Nah, you know what? I mean, I'm glad it did because of so many people that put the work in for so many years where, dudes, there's a lot of dudes that are out there from the early eras that, they got caught up in the streets or whatever, went to jail or whatever, that can come home and be like, use their talent and make money. You know what I'm saying? So where, for me, I did it for fun. It was just, I didn't really look at it that way, but the way the crew had got love and respect through all the neighborhoods and became, just made a lot of, lifetime friendships and stuff like that. That was the big thing for me, meeting dudes at Sunset Park, Ribs, GAK, and, Keston, those guys, that became a friendship for 30 years, you know what I'm saying? And just with everything like that, I found it more valuable with certain friendships. And then as you go older, you start meeting other people. Smear TBV, one of my closest friends, like a brother, you know what I'm saying? And till this day, you meet other people, Spot, Stuff, YKK crew, like back then we had beef, you know what I mean, with everything. And it was like, to be grown men now and just be like being able to go out and just chill and have a drink or have lunch or dinner or whatever, and just kind of talk about those times and be like thinking about it back then. It's like, wow, 30 years, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, who would have thought? You know what I'm saying? You'd be sitting down with a dude 30 years later that you were out the street as a teenager, running around climbing fences just to take a tag or whatever. So it's cool. I mean, it's something, I guess, now, looking back at it now, and it ain't something, I guess, the way the new era is, it ain't something that, like we, as being a dad or whatever, that I would say, I want my kids to do whatever, because, I mean, like I said, again, it wasn't something where I profited off of it or nothing like that, but, it was more of a hobby, and where I think that, you got a lot of people like, where the kids these days, they're coming from out of state, you know what I'm saying, they're smashing the city and all that stuff. So the new graffiti, I give everybody, their respect for what they're doing, with the way the whole new system is, but yet it's not the same. You know what I mean? So I have a different outlook on it. When I meet people a lot of times, I'm just like, I'll say I don't write, or I didn't write, you know what I mean? Because I don't look at it that way. You know what I'm saying? I got a different lifestyle now or whatever, and for me, I do appreciate the respect that and the friendships I've gained through the whole, time in it. But I think that, for me, at this point, it's like, it's just a hobby, and it's more like fun in a sense where you get that like adrenaline rush where you could do something and be like, look back at it and drive past it later on for a flick or something, or where you get a bunch of the fellas together like we are now and be like, take a tag, whatever. But it's just that it brings you back to your childhood. So that's pretty much it.
I just like to hear the stories. That's how Graff Champs got started. So the legacies of these stories and the way things formed could live on and people could get the knowledge and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as growing up, where in the early part of the 90s, they had the Peace Factories in Williamsburg. That's where we, like a lot of the DTF guys, Ever, Bopple, myself, Goober, all of us would like meet up over there, be like, yeah, we're gonna go there, we're gonna do the Peace Factories. We were 16, 17-year-old kids, you know what I'm saying? It was like, but it was funny because it was like you can go there like on a random time of day and catch dudes. It's like, like here we are now, there's like 15 of us, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, who's that over there? And start chasing them out the buildings, you know what I'm saying? It was fun. But I mean, I think that when you look back at it, it's more like, I find it to be funny because it's like still being friends with so many of the guys today. You know what I mean? Like It's like, all right, remember when we did this, remember when we did that. And unfortunately, like Goober, who, you know, passed away so young, you know, most of my best memories in graffiti or with him. You know what I mean? We kind of made the KED label. You know what I'm saying? People knew of it. And for me now, it's, I guess after he passed away, you know, and it was like, kind of felt like a part of me, that part of me with the graffiti thing kind of went away. So then I started doing the whole Goober Day thing.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Goober Day. So tell me about how you came up with Goober Day.
Again, Exile, being an influence as far as doing stuff within like with the music industry and having his connects and stuff like that, and meeting with a lot of the artists and stuff, and just kind of bring it to the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, where people who did know him and you know, loved him is more of a celebration of life, where you're not basically, you know, you're not doing it as a rest in peace. You're doing it to celebrate who he was as a person and people who appreciated him and his friendship and keeping his memory alive. You know what I'm saying? I did it where on those days where you feel like, you know, you need a moment to yourself, where you go back down by the park because that's where your best memories were, and just chill by the wall, even because, or sit on the bench where we used to chill and just kind of look at the wall and be like, you know, yeah, you know. So that's pretty much why I did it, you know, for his mom's sake, where when she's in the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, when she used to be around for us, you know, and would come by and you know, look out for us. And, you know, I don't do things for recognition for myself. You know what I mean? I do it more just because it was just the love I have, or, you know, the friendship I have with certain people or whatever. I try to, you know, would always help out in a sense. You know what I mean? But when it came to him, he was a little brother. You know what I mean? Like, everybody that knows me knew him. You see me, you seen him. You know, so I think doing it, and the year he passed away was the same year my mom passed away. So it was a real tough year, and just kind of like went with it where it was like, you know what, all right, it's a bad time for me. And then to have that happen in a 6 month span of losing my mom and then losing, you know, like my little brother basically, I just felt that, you know, gotta do something positive, you know, turn a negative into a positive. And then we just started doing it, and it became a fun event where I was able to get, because of life circumstances, people, you know, work, families, you know, that type of thing, people who move away, would get everybody to come back, the people that I met in the early 90s through graffiti, and just be able to have a good day together, kind of make it, you know, just like a little, you know, celebration where everybody gets to enjoy one another's company, you know what I'm saying? So again, it's not really where to do it where it's for me or for him, it was for everybody, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much how me and Exile decided to do it, and then it kind of just got better and better every year, and more people want to participate in it, you know? And the thing with something like that, when you're setting something like that up, when you have genuine friends that come out of their way and are like, I want to do it because I have love for Goober or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's what love is, you know what I'm saying? As far as where you got dudes that you might know for 30 years and they're like, they want to get paid for something like that. And I get it, you know what I mean? They do it for a business purposes, but I feel that when you're friends with people for 30 plus years and they pass away,
without a question,
you're going to paint the wall regardless. So why not do it with all your boys to celebrate your boys' life? You know what I mean? So that a lot of guys, you know, shout out to, you know, Ribs, Such, Germs, you know, just
wait, let's go down the line. And who did the first one? The first one. Gumby?
Gumby, yes.
That's where it started.
Gumby, Ghost, RIS, because that was one of Google's favorite.
He did the second one, Ghost?
Yeah, Ghost. Then we had Slash, Ribs, participating every year. You know, whether he's doing a character or he actually did the lettering. Hops has been part of it from day one. Such has been part of it for the most part. Germs has been part of it. You know, these guys, you know, they take the time out from their families and stuff like that, but they come down and, you know, I give them a lot of credit, and they always, you know, they're always inquiring about when the next time is going to be. So, you know, salute to all of them as well. You know what I'm saying? But that's where the whole thing, again, with the respect thing and the friendship thing goes a long way. You know what I mean? Because you might not speak to people every day, but when they come through, you know, and for a day like that, I take it as it's like one of those days where you can kind of just pick up from where you left off, whatever it was, and it's like it was yesterday. So that's why I kind of miss that we didn't do it the last couple of years because of COVID and because of permit situations and stuff, and the way the community people nowadays, the way Greenpoint is gentrified and kind of got pushed all of us out in a sense. So where they kind of run the show now, and it's like, you know, the police don't want to really cooperate in a sense with it because it's like these people can tell you, you know, too much noise now, but yet they can do what they want. So we've had discussions and stuff like that for another one, hopefully for this year. So we'll be keeping everybody posted and see when the time comes if we're gonna be able to pull it off or not.
Word, keep us posted, man. Rest in peace, Google. That was an ill dude, bro. And he was killing shit. He was killing shit with the other kid, STR, I think, right?
STR was from Philly. Yep, but he had moved. He was back with us. He came to Greenpoint and we all became cool, and he was just another street bomber. Never did throws. He was a tagger. You know what I mean? He just wanted to paint. But you know, back then, you know, we all did a little street hustling, whatever it was. You know, it was like we kind of became cool, and then him and Groove. I stopped painting really back then already. I was, you know, working or whatever, and these guys were like out wilding all the time. You know, it was like, come on. You know, and then you get that feeling, like, all right, I'll go one night. I kind of kept it where everybody knew us back then with the silver tags, you know what I mean, like the big silver tags. And with him and Goobs just loved it because it was just, he liked going out and seeing his name. You know what I mean? He like, I always had a mark on him or whatever. He just wanted to just always do stuff because he liked the whole lifestyle of it, like as far as the fame and stuff like that. You know,
and he had his own shit because
he always had his own style, the way he did it.
Niggas don't really like catching low spots, but the nigga would blow it up and do a giant goober tag across the whole bottom and just drown everything else out. Like, that nigga was ill. For real, I hit a legendary bomb with Goober and ID, my nigga, and that shit is legendary.
I just seen some tags yesterday, like ID.
Oh, word?
Yeah, I saw him a couple weeks ago in the neighborhood and stuff. We were talking. Yeah, I mean,
ID, man.
As far as other influences, you know, with it, you know, you had the TKC crew from Greenpoint, EB, you know, Sir, Echo, those guys, you know, they were Visa. You know, we used to see guys like that growing up, you know what I mean? They're all guys like, you know, there's some of them are still doing stuff, you know what I mean?
It's shit.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that for us in the neighborhood, we made our name as far as it goes with KED and stuff like that. And, you know, I think for me, anyway, personally, I enjoyed the fact of being able to go to come into Bushwick, you know what I'm saying, going to Bed-Stuy again, like I said earlier, and just being able to just be able to pull up, be like, yo, what's up, and just hang out like it was nothing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So even meeting with like Vic 2, you know, Bye, seeing them today, those guys, you know, it's like you're picking up like you were 20 years ago, you know, and just, it's like all love. And I think for me now, it's like I look forward to certain events only because, you know, the way people are passing away, you know, suddenly and stuff like that, you don't know, you know, like this. So I look at it as tomorrow's never promised, and try to take advantage of whatever time you can, you know, to chill with certain people. And, you know, the friendships that you make, I think you can value them, or, you know, you can't. For me, I look at it as like, for example, me and Ribs, you know, everybody knows that now as far as it goes with us, the G and KED thing, you know. He became a big influence where he was like, you know, with the shirts and stuff like that, with the Goober Day thing. We made shirts for Goober, you know, and, you know, he puts in a lot of work where, you know, he helped out a lot with the Goober Day thing and stuff like that. So, you know, he kind of brought back a little bit of an adrenaline rush for me with the, you know, with the stickers and stuff like that, and then, you know, keeping Goober's memory alive with the shirts, and then doing the wall, because he's always been so creative as well, you know, so big shout out to him as well. And, I mean, you know, for me now, it's like, I look back at it for being at 30 plus years now, it's like, you get that feeling from time to time. It's like you kind of get that itch. You know about it. You know, if you walk in, it's like, oh man, you know. But at the same time, like you were saying before, with your son, you know, you can become a dad and stuff like that. It's like a whole different outlook on things.
That's a fact, bro. Like today, it ain't no joke out there. You could die for any fucking shit.
It's the truth.
So
you know, I mean, I think that as far as our friendship, you know what I mean, like this going from young teenagers running around, you know, to being grown men and being able to come here and just kind of like talk about it. And you know, I appreciate the opportunity to come through and kind of just, you know, discuss it as far as where we started and where we are today. You know what I mean?
Just have to. Plus, just even besides that fact, if you even take that friendship out of the equation, like erase me out of it, what you was able to do, it was like the way RFC did. They brought so many crews together and made such a powerhouse movement. You cemented a movement that is in history. Mount Rushmore.
Even all those guys, you know, like Cash RFC, Kel 5MH, you know, this meeting everybody like that. It's just they still show love today, you know. Like again, I feel that it's the friendships you build or you make where dudes are still shouting you out, you know, like for the holidays and stuff like that. For me, it was always graffiti was more of a respect thing, like it is in the street. My dad always taught me growing up, you know, you need to earn your respect. So the graffiti thing was, for me, again, was a hobby. I was more known to be whatever in the streets as far as a fighter and stuff like that. And you know, that's how people knew me, the whole KED thing. And, you know, it was, I think looking back at it now, the crew was more of a family in a sense to be rather than like a graffiti crew. Because, you know, we were street bombers. We weren't really like trained guys like there is out there, like from back in the days, TK and guys like that, you know. So I feel that the recognition that we, you know, established throughout, you know, even with the old school guys that the respect I have with all of them today, that's the biggest thing, you know, like, you know, be able to see a dude in the street and be able to, you know, yo, what's up, you know, how you been, how's everything, you know, and catch up is kind of like, for me, that's the most satisfying thing about it, you know, like I never worried about like being famous from graffiti because it wasn't something that I knew that it was part of my life that way. It was more just a fun part of my life. It's
the same thing with us. Like, well, for me personally, it was the rush, the rush and the fun of
just
like, getting away with
people came to the house or whatever, you know, ringing your bell at, you know, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. Yo, come on, let's go. You know, let's go do a spot. Let's do that. And you know, even at certain times back then, it was like I would turn it away, be like, you know, I'm tired. I got to work, whatever. And then you see these dudes go out, and then you see them the next day. They're like, I missed it. You know? It's like, but then at the same time, you're like, you know, and then you're like, oh, we got chased, we got that. You know, and you're like, was it worth it? Yes, because you got away with it. But it's the one time you don't get away with it, and you're like, you know, it's probably everything.
Did you ever have a favorite bomb? That you did?
Yeah, one of the favorite times, I guess, would be me, Checo, rest in peace, Touche, Catch. We actually did Knickerbocker, and it was the dead of winter. And Catch had a new, brand new Columbia jacket on. He might have got it like that week or whatever. And he's in the doorway, it's freezing. Like we were all packed in this little Hyundai he had and stuff. And with the tape and tag, whatever, and Touche's like doing his big film. Matter of fact, I think it might have been between decal. It might have been right by the block, the old block. And he's in the doorway, and then you see him like starting to like wrestle around. Run over to him, like, yo, what's the matter? He's covered in paint. The paint exploded. He blew up all over his jacket. He's like, he's like, I'm dead. I just got this jacket. I'm like, yo. Flip it inside out, bro. Like sitting there like this, like frostbite. You know what I mean? Like what are we gonna do? Like, chilling there. Cops come driving down. And like we're just standing like there's 4 white boys and Checo was like on the other side. There's 4 of us standing in the doorway like at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning on Knickerbocker Avenue, like dead of winter. They're like, hey, what are you assholes doing? He's covered in paint. Like what do you say? You know what I mean? So I mean that was a fun one. We did like King's Highway, like the F line with me, Stacks, Gis, SC, KST, Checo, I think, was with us. Rusto. I don't know if Touche was there. Catch was definitely there. And I remember they were going up, they were like just wanted to go do a rooftop or something. And it was like the KHB guys, the Keys Highway boys, like rolled up and we all like got chased, whatever. We didn't know who anybody was. We were like all getting separated. We were like all running, like, you know, used to pack in a car. Like one dude had a car, like, piling 4 or 5 dudes in a car, you know, and that hits 30 dudes because you're in the neighborhood, their neighborhood. What the fuck you doing out here buying whatever? And like, nah, we're good, we're just chilling. Like, nah, we can smell the paint, you know, getting bags and running with book bags and shit, you know. So Stacks always was very, you know, like, yo, let's go do the stations, let's go here. He was all over the place, you know. He was definitely somebody that brought a lot of crews together as well, you know, like meeting the 501 guys and stuff like that. Doom, FUK crew, that's from met all of them back in like probably 91, 92. So we're talking, you know, 30 plus years with everybody just knowing them now and then being able to see guys today. It's, to me, I appreciate that more than anything. That's what I got out of the feed, really. A lot of the friendships.
Yo, fucking bombs, bro. The stories.
Yeah.
But now I gotta pick your graffiti brain. Who was your favorite? Did you have a favorite train bomber?
Train wise?
Yeah, like when you was like.
I mean, as far as looking back at it, Ghost, Saint, TK, Deck, FYA. I mean, both, you know, trains and streets. SP. Yeah, I mean, Trap, LF, you know, he's still doing it with his 50 state blockbusters. Fib, as far as, you know, he did a little train thing, but the streets. Gandhi, you know.
Who's your favorite writer? Do you have a favorite writer?
Nah, because I think as far as writers, as far as a favorite writer, I had different favorites for certain things. You know what I mean? Like, so I think when you look back at it, and it's like, for me, everybody had their own little thing that would catch your eye.
So who has the dopest throw up? Who's your favorite throw ups?
I guess if I had Ghost was definitely one. Ghost, Saint TMR. I like TK stuff. I guess today, you know, if I look back at it, if you go like era to era, Stax' S was always a classic. Doom with his D with the faces in it. You know, Fib, again, you know, guys like that. I mean, they just stand out. Traps Tees, you know, like everybody had their own little niche for certain things, and for me, I was more of a tagger. So Chino and Trim, you know what I mean? They were just straight black tags, you know what I mean? Like everywhere. So you got Chino, Trim, you know, Jaws, Easy, till this day, you know, guys like that. Josh 5. As far as a classic throw, WF had a unique throw, you know what I'm saying? So for him, you know, it's different. Stuff throws, you know, they're dope.
Yo, salute to state your name too, kid.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't really say that I have a favorite writer. I mean, everybody. There's always something I find that I like. Slash's throws always been fun, you know, got the most unique for me, his style.
Which one? The shark one?
Yeah, the shark ones. I mean, his S was always classic, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, the SH is till this day. It's like a trademark of his now. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Ass had nice, you know, Ass similar styles when he did the M line back then, you know. But again, I can't really say favorites. It's just I like something about everybody. Jay's stuff, you know, it's still classic and, you know, vintage to this day.
What about the new shit, like the new writers? Do you see anybody?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, if you look back, and I'm looking at it when you're driving around now, you got Anso, you got Goo, those dudes, you know, they're killing it. Mr. Put is putting it in, you know, Mean Street King, you know what I'm saying? Those dudes are all get put in work, going, I mean, who would have thought, these guys are going across countries, Savs and Neo, so guys that are doing stuff like that, you got to give them their props, you know what I'm saying? They're getting on planes and going to these, these unknown countries, half of them, and they're just being able to just do their thing, Shout out to Ray BWH, out in the Santo Domingo, in the Dominican Republic, just being an advocate for Graff out there and just showing everybody love out there, So I think that for me, I'm again just gonna say, I'm more of a fan of it in the sense where I appreciated the old stuff. The new stuff, give the people their props, but it wasn't. To me, it's not stuff that is known. I don't think it's something that's gonna carry as much weight going forward. You know what I'm saying? Like trike stuff was always is dope to this day. Even the stuff he does just is Sharpie work. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, I'm probably not the best, I guess, person to get opinions on it, because it's just like I said, Cess is probably one of the dopest pieces in graffiti. You know what I mean? Burner wise. So that's the thing. Dual MCI, showing it with the freaks. Everybody has their own niche. The Germs and all of the TRK dudes, they're doing they do their work. So there's just so many people out there that can give shout outs for days. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's just being a fan of it, as far as being able to drive by and see things. And a lot of dudes now, they've given me, they including me in certain things. Look at as far as the way the whole thing, Danny Cortez, shout out to him doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? He's blowing up. He's definitely showing love to the graffiti community as well. You know what I'm saying? With all his work. You know what I'm saying? So people like him that humble down and want to be part of the whole community and show love to the dudes, you know what I'm saying, is great, because he doesn't forget where he comes from. You know what I'm saying? So he is giving everybody his childhood friends and people that he's meeting, certain people that he knows that are part of the culture. So shout out to him as well.
Salute to Danny Cortez. He made a fucking train. He made a replica. You seen it, right?
I'm on it, yeah.
Yo, the train, bro. It's fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah, and, that's the thing. I think that the way graffiti is today, it's become more. They consider it just art. And where a lot of people are they're able to make money on it, and I think it's great. You know what I'm saying? So I've been out of it as far as over 20 plus years, you know what I'm saying, active. And, it was, again, just, I guess when you lose that rush because of more important things, I guess, in a sense, as far as family and careers and stuff like that, it's cool, but yet, for me, I knew it was never going to be my life, you know what I'm saying?
But, every now and then and shit, because I'm the same way, family man. You know what I'm saying? I work out a lot, all that shit, so it's no fucking around.
Yeah, man. Look, in everyday life, you got to look at what's important, and for me, a lot of guys as they get older, take up golf and stuff like that. I still have my little eye in the street because I like going to walls and watching, see dudes' pieces, because it just brings you kind of back to being a kid.
Who do you think has the dopest hand style? You know a lot of writers, bro. You know everybody that I don't know, and I know a lot of motherfuckers. But that's a fact.
Hand styles. Spock KMS. He's definitely got a dope hand style. I guess. Well, you got Spot. If I had to really put Ribs got Ribs has his own unique style. Z. Again, everybody has their own little thing that like where you kind of pick it out as far as what you like about their style, So Neek, NEEK, Bias has dope hand style. But again, they're not really as far as favorites go. Doom, I always like Doom's hand style. So Saint TMR again. You know?
Saint TMR, bro.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah,
bro.
you know.
We had the FS shit. That's fire. Saint TMR is one of my top favorites. And shit, who you think is the illest street bomber of all time?
Gotta give it to Jay. You have to. I mean, his legacy, and for him, there's no finish line. So with him, that's what it comes down to.
Believe.
So, that's basically for me. Look at it like this too. You got guys like Dart and Nairo. You know what I mean? They're high spots. You know what I mean? Like they got their own unique styles. Both, So I was always a fan of it in the sense of where like different ways of how people bomb. You know what I mean? Like the train era, the tunnels. Hojo has all the tunnels smashed. You know what I mean?
When you was young, did you used to like looking through the train?
Yeah, of course. It's like being a kid, like anything else. You know what I mean? You'd be so surprised at what you'd see. And be like even going through the tunnels, growing up. Like we'd walk the stations. You know what I'm saying? In the wintertime, we'd be like, let's give it a walk through, because ID back then in the 90s, he'd take us out like on little missions. Come on, I'll show you what's what. He knew the ins and outs of like the G line. But, it wasn't that much of an interest that I really took on. You know what I'm saying? I was more like,
you was in Forbidden Arts though, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was.
Remember that shit?
Yeah. As another person, I guess I gotta say that for me, one of my favorite writers, I guess, is DG, rest in peace. His style was, beyond, most. I think if, a lot of guys would definitely put him in the top 10 as far as style, where, style goes as far as piecing. He had the whole package, you know what I mean? Bombing wise, piecing, you know what I mean? So I think for me, he's definitely one of my top 10 favorites as far as, writers go as well.
You remember when you was getting recorded for
the Forbidden Arts? Yeah. We did it in Greenpoint. Me, Goober, Cap, Phantom. I guess it was 91, something like that.
VCR tapes.
Yeah. ID actually, when after the tapes, then he got it all downloaded and stuff onto CDs. And then he ended up trying to do wanted to do a re-edited version, and actually considered doing something else within the last 10 years of the newer graffiti, but he ended up not doing it.
So that's a classic. If y'all don't know about Forbidden Arts, how many parts you had? Two?
Yeah, two. Yeah.
Two, right?
Forbidden Art 1 and 2, yep.
You was in both of them?
No, I had stuff in the second one, but he featured us more in the first one because of the Greenpoint game and stuff like that. But Cope was in the one I was in, and I don't really remember who else was it. Maybe ZE and Matt. I think they did it. I think they were in the one I was in as well. The Forbidden Art 1.
Do you have it?
I don't. I had a copy of it, but with stuff. Hurricane Sandy and stuff. I lost a lot of stuff. Some photos I had and some other old shit. But ID he still has some stuff stored somewhere, a way to get the newer version of it. But I would just like to get another copy of it just to check it out. Just for the fun of it. You know what I mean?
That shit had, I think, Rhino and Joust too, and Near, right?
Yeah. Yep. They were in it
classic,
back then. Yeah. Yeah, rest in peace, me and the whole KGB squad. Those guys all, I know them from 91 as well. We used to meet up. They used to have, like you said, with these little meetings and stuff. We would meet up in the west side, and then we'd walk the Freedom Tunnels, all of us. And we painted the Freedom Tunnels back in 91, these stacks. Near, As Is, my boy at Gas, Exile, like all of us, they had these meetings, we meet up at Great Papayas, and then we walk into the beginning of the Freedom Tunnels and then walk as far as we could have just, that was a cool experience as far as like doing stuff and then bombing back then too, because it was hundreds and hundreds of like homeless people. And you just like looking at you like, you know, you're invading their territory. It was like an underground world, bro. And it was just like, you know, fucking sitting like, yo, it was crazy. That definitely a life experience to see that shit. So,
do you remember the first time you went in the tunnels?
With a regular train tunnel?
Yeah, like the first time.
I guess it was probably 91, 92 with like Google ID. Like I said, we would walk the stations on the G line because that's where we were from. So we would hit the station and then we'd start like creeping into the tunnels here and there. Google was in the tunnels more with ID because ID was in them on a regular basis. So for me, I did it here and there. Like again, we did it for just to walk around, just for the experience. But I guess it was probably 91, 92.
Did you ever get chased by the police?
Oh yeah, yeah. We were doing stations on the L line, and we were like looking at these guys as we did them, and then we ran into the tunnels, and they chased us into the tunnel, and then when we went back upstairs, catch this kid Cease. He was really not much of a bomb. He was a picture police one, but he came cool with us or whatever, and somebody else, they got bagged. And we came out of the station down the block, and we walked up the block to see the paddy wagon was there. He was sitting in the paddy wagon. And I was like, fuck. You know, like, they got caught. We were able to make it through. You know, like, certain things, ID would show us certain ways in and out of certain, you know, the hatches and stuff. So we were able to get out of it. You know? I mean,
that's an ill adrenaline rush too, right?
Yeah, when you get chased, you're going whatever, just running through, you know, and you're like saying to yourself, like, you're like, all right, you're looking at it like, all right, I'm gonna get bagged here, you know, and you're like, I really want to get arrested for graffiti, you know, so it was like, again, the adrenaline rush was fun, but at the same time, like, looking back, it's almost like that when they really cracked down on Graff with like Giuliani and stuff like that, it was like, you know, you start looking towards your future and you're like, you know, do I want to be bombing or do I want to have a career that you could look back and then talk about it? So that, to me, that's what kind of took me off the path and then just kind of became more of a fan of it than anything else. So,
do you got any photo albums left?
Nah. My boy Slack, he has a lot of old photos that he had from the late 80s, early 90s and stuff that he used to go with Pope and take a lot of photos. So he's got a bunch of stuff stored away as far as old photos. But we had Goober used to have a lot of old photos from like the Peace Factory and stuff that we did in like early 90s. But you know, I mean, as far as myself now, I have nothing graffiti related anymore.
Oh, what about the merch? People could get merch. Like knock them down.
Yeah, the shirts. Yeah, they can. They could reach out to me or whatever through Instagram, through DM or whatever. Or we're gonna have it up on the website, Urban Mechanics, the same GAK website thing. That'll be the link that they can get the shirts as well. So
shirts, hats also.
I haven't made any hats. We did the run shirts just for the show when they did it. Shout out to Gouch, another hand style, you know. Yeah, he looked out this time around. You know, I try to keep it where I just show everybody a little love to kind of get the recognition as well with the kind of collaborative concept. You know what I'm saying? With the crew and then with people's ideas, whether it's a hand style or something like that. So that's, for me, it's kind of just keeping it within the crew, everybody. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, you reach out to me, whatever, you know, as far as getting shirts and stuff like that.
But it's a fact. I just wanted the people to know and shit. So before, like, we get off this or anything like that, is there anything you want to say? Anything?
Now, I mean, for me, you know, as far as it goes through graffiti, again, grateful for all the friendships I made, you know, all the connections I made with a lot of people. And again, appreciate the opportunity to come out and, you know, speak about, I guess, the KED thing in a sense, as far as where it began or whatever, how it started. And that's pretty much it.
Even like if you say, I know you're not active and all of that stuff, the KED thing is just gonna keep living on because it's so where is it gonna go? How do you see it happening?
For me, to keep the name going would be just basically like with the shirts, you know, doing the Google Day thing as far as we could decide to go with it. And that's it. It's not really for any sort of recognition as far as within the graffiti community thing anymore. It ain't about graffiti. You know what I'm saying? It's more just for the sake of the name. For me, again, like I said, the personal. For me, it was the saying itself was because of my dad and stuff like that that kept it with me. So whether it's just me alone, so be it. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but your father said knock him dead.
Right.
But I forgot to even ask you how you even got the tag Theme. Was Theme your first tag?
Yeah. So there was a kid that when I was in grammar school, he wrote it. And he was like writing on paper. We were in a class together, but I'm like looking at him and he's like doing all kind of throw-ups and stuff like that. And he ended up starting writing it, and then he got into beef with like a dude, and the guy like threatened him because he said he was the real Theme or something like that. And I was like, he doesn't even spell it the same way. And then he was like, nah, I'm changing my name. And he started writing Niver, N-I-V-E-R. So I was like, I started writing, and I was like, I'll give it a shot, fuck it. And just started writing, and then just kept writing on paper, and I was like, you know what? I'll stick with it. The hell with it. You know, because back then it was like, you know, then I went to Gumby, and I was like, oh, you know, said I gotta do like a throw up, whatever. And he started like doing different throw ups. And he was like, yeah, I think it fits you good. Like, you know, you should keep the tag, whatever. Because even then, I was still unsure of it, you know what I mean? But then with Exile and stuff like that, it was like, we were just taking tags. Because even back then, I was like, not doing throw-ups. So I was like, to me, it seemed like it took too long to do it. I'd rather just do a tag and move, just keep, you know, for me, I was more like getting a tag on every corner rather than just doing the filming, you know? Because back then, you could sit there and it would run. And then my whole thing was I wanted a tag on every corner in the group. When people came to the neighborhood, they would see it. So that was, you know, but that's pretty much how I got it. And the kid did it, and then he didn't want it, and then I was like, you know what? Then the other dude, once I started painting, he started going over me. But
Niver?
No, he wrote Theme, but he wrote Theame. He was like an FDA crew from like Jackson Heights, East Elmhurst. But then Min ended up, I think, having like an altercation with this dude, I guess, at a diner or something, and then I think something happened to him, whatever. I don't know the whole story with him anyway. But he kind of like just fell off the face of the earth. I don't know if he passed away or whatever it was, but so it was like almost like back then it was like right away, it was like almost like a sign, like, all right, yeah, you got the tag. It's beef related, like whatever, you know, like just run with it. So I just I stuck with it, you know, and then I just left it like that.
That shit sounds crazy. Yeah. Yo, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
You know there's always fucking love.
Likewise. You know, shout out to my two kids at home who aren't big fans of the whole graffiti thing, but you know, Michael and Jillian. And you know, listen, it was part of my past. You know what I mean? It was a hobby. It's not, you know, really who I am as far as it goes today, but you know, it's fun. I still consider it fun. So, big shout out to Dan. Thanks for coming.
Good show, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, man.
Thanks again.
Son, NBKED, TFTR,
Yeah,
it keeps going.
Keep going. BCS, you know.
You know what I'm saying? All of that.
STV, all the rest of the crews, you know. Everybody that tuned in today, thank you again for all the, you know, love that everybody's been showing on Instagram and, you know, through the DMs and messaging and stuff like that. It was fun. And, you know, I guess all the dudes that are out there painting, keep going. Have fun.
Yeah, and keep us posted on the Google Day
thing. I will. Yep. So.
Shit. And they can get the merch. They can get the merch.
Yeah, the merch. Yeah, the DMs hit you up. You know, Mr. Knock 'em Dead. on Instagram, whatever, and then we'll be putting up the website soon enough. That way they can get on the website, Urban Mechanics, and that's for the GAK stuff or whatever, KED shirts and stuff like that. So,
Yo, Theme KED, boy.
thank you.
That was Graff Champs, baby. Graff Champs. Yo.